I'm your host, Danielle Winston, and I'd like to welcome you to another episode of Let's Talk Film, a film review series for women which allows their contemporary voices to be heard on all types of film releases. Today we'll be reviewing the romantic drama Bleu is the Warmest Color, written by Ghalia Lacroix and the film's French-Tunisian director, Abdellatif Kechiche, based on the novel by Julie Maroh.
We're shooting here at Sottacasa Pizzeria, the destination for Italian traditional pizza in Brooklyn. It's located near the corners of Smith Street and Atlantic Avenue in the Boerum Hill neighborhood. This is an area known for its historic rows of brownstones, eclectic local boutiques, and culturally diverse bars and restaurants. With its authentic Neapolitan pizza and centuries-old techniques, Sottacasa has positioned itself as a neighborhood gem.
Let's go inside and have a little slice of it. Today we're speaking with Luca Aragoni, the owner and pizza maker and creator of Sottacasa.
Hello Danielle, how are you doing?
Tell us about what you do here in your pizzas.
Well, I do mainly pizzas. That's what we do here. We're a very neighborhood pizzeria nestled in Boerum Hill, Brooklyn. The borough where I live to, and I love my neighborhood. And
where are you from originally?
I'm from Italy. I'm from Milano, upper north. And most of our stuff is Italian too. We have people from all the different regions of Italy. And again, we just make pizzas. We do Neapolitan style. It's only wood fire, no gas, nothing, wood fire only.
Where did you learn to make the pizza?
You would love me to say yes, no, I learned in Naples. Actually, okay. I learned on Bleecker Street, Manhattan.
Really?
Yes.
How did that happen?
I know. I came from Italy with my wife. We're both actors, and then I ended up, working in restaurants, as many are my fellow actors in New York City. And I ended up at Caste Pizza e Vino, which is one of my favorite pizzerias in the city. And Maestro Roberto Caporuscio works there. He is the pizza maker there, and he was nice enough to taught me for a year and a half how to make pizza. So I worked there, and I ended up making decent pizzas and opening my own pizzeria. What do we try here? Mainly because we don't have a kitchen, we just have a wood fire oven. And what we do is just whatever we have, we bake it in the oven. And what I try to do most of the time is use ingredients that they're raw, uncooked, and they're just gonna cook the minute and a half or 2 minutes on the pizza. And so everything usually blends together. The heat is so strong that everything melts and blends together. And the pizza, they come out nice and crunchy and soft and moist.
And so how long have you been here?
So me, myself, and my wife, we've been here for now 6.5 years.
The restaurant?
And the restaurant, it's 2 years old. A little bit more than 2 years old. Yes, we're a very new restaurant, but I would say we're already part of the neighborhood, and we're a staple. People, they come here for pizza when they're around in Brooklyn.
And what's the style? Tell us about the style of the restaurant.
The style of the restaurant is absolutely family friendly, very low key, and it's probably because we're in one of the most family friendly neighborhoods in the whole city. I would say it's very Sottacasa. It's very comfy, it's very easygoing. People, I think they like to be here because you can be whoever you are and just come here and have a nice dinner, and very easy. And we're actually very reasonable priced, which is not too bad.
Yeah, especially in this neighborhood. Not
Absolutely.
everything is.
Yeah, and we have wine and beers too. So the whole thing.
And fabulous pizzas.
And fabulous pizzas.
Okay.
Yes.
Cool. Thank you.
Thank you
so
very
much.
Thank you.
Today's host is Linda Succi.
Hello.
Linda is an actress in New York City. She is presently studying at HB Studio in Greenwich Village. She's been cast in the Laramie Project, which is scheduled to open in January 2014. Linda is from Rhode Island and is a retired teacher principal. She's performed in community theater in Rhode Island, Massachusetts, and Florida. Today we'll be reviewing the romantic drama Bleu is the Warmest Color, written by Ghalia Lacroix and the film's French-Tunisian director Abdellatif Kechiche, based on the novel by Julie Maroh. Would you consider that the film is an observation of love, loss, and class?
It certainly addresses those issues of what love choices are that we make, what loss feels like, the difference in classes, difference in upbringing, conservative versus liberal upbringing, and how that affects our choices, how we need to live our truth and finding out what that truth is. It certainly is very dependent on how we feel about ourselves. So it certainly addresses those three issues.
I mean, I think that it was an observation on love, loss, and class. Definitely those were all intermingling to create this sort of long character study of their life, which didn't adhere to traditional plotting that we see in America. Do you feel like focuses on issues from gender and sexual identity to questions of social belonging?
I think that through the characters we see the issues of gender identification, gender experimentation, trying to come of age, trying to see who you really are, and whether sexual identification is something that is stagnant throughout your life, or if those choices can change, if those questions that we ask ourselves are different as we age, or if it remains stagnant.
I think it was very interesting that it was very natural the way that they portrayed her, the main character, Adèle, and her sexual coming of age and her sexual awakening, and how she was trying to go the traditional path, and how it just didn't feel right to her. It was portrayed in a different way than I've seen before, where perhaps anyone could identify with their own growing up and thinking this is the beginning of sexuality, and then it was very interesting to see like what felt right to her, her conflict, and what was going on under the surface. So I think it was very it was sensitively done the way they portrayed that in a different way that I've seen before, and it wouldn't necessarily be a gay movie or a straight movie.
Right.
It was just like about a person who was exploring and trying to figure out who she was. Do you consider this film to be a character study with very little true narrative?
No, I think the characters certainly have very distinct personalities. We see development, we see change. I see it as being very truthful, and I see a lot of the issues that they deal with. I'd like to know what people in the audience thought about the character development, because I'm sure they were exploring their own sexuality, their own feelings on the mores, of how they would handle that, how they feel about the way the girls lived. I think there's a lot of exploration on the part of the people in the audience through this character development.
I think that it was, I would say it was a character study, and then when I left I felt like there were things of the plot that I wanted to know more about, and as I was saying, so I do think it was much more of a character study than a narrative. I didn't see so much of the character arc of changing with the characters that I would normally see in a plot. Maybe I'm comparing that to American stories versus French stories, but I do like European films as well, and they do have a different pacing.
Right.
So it could just be that it's just a different pacing. But I felt it was more of a character study and going on the journey of this than a true narrative. Yes, I did feel that. There are a lot of these scenes in this film that revolve around food. So what purpose do you think they serve?
I think that we can associate food with sensuality, and I thought there was a lot of focus, even with the filming and the cinematography. A lot was focused on the mouth. Even when she was sleeping, they're showing her mouth a lot. I think it was all part of that sensuality, to arouse sensuality in the film. And I think food is associated with sensuality. It's associated with socialization. That we gather around food. So I think food is a gathering kind of activity that we all enjoy. A lot of enjoyment is associated with food, but I saw that too. Focus on the mouth, focus on food.
Food, it was interesting. Food, yes, food was a sexuality.
It was, and they showed them
sensual,
eating.
but food, they also used it to illustrate. It was interesting because when they had the two sets of parents, and then you had the one little more the more artistic, free-thinking parents. Emma's parents, who had oysters and only shellfish and had exotic food, and then you went to Adèle's parents and they just had spaghetti with tomato sauce. And this was, it just like right away you could see, oh, they just have such a simpler life. And I got that right away from the portrayal of the food.
Right.
So I thought they used the food in a very cinematic, very creative, artistic way. I liked the way they used the food. Yes, it was sexual, but it took on many layers. Did you find the sex scenes in the film to be erotic?
Initially.
Is it a loaded question?
No, I'm thinking initially I did.
Okay.
But then when they were drawn out, they were too long, and it sort of lost my interest, and the eroticism diminished. Maybe if they were shorter, more variation within the sex scene might have held my attention.
Yeah. I didn't think that there was the very long sex scene.
Yes.
It was very raw, and no, I didn't find that to be erotic, because as we were saying, it just seemed to be so long.
Right.
Whereas maybe had it been a quarter and a little artistically in a more same tone as the rest of the movie, no.
Yeah. And maybe showing some tenderness. I didn't see the tenderness between the two of them. I saw the raw sex, but I would like to see maybe some tenderness.
Yeah. There was probably tenderness in that 7 minutes somewhere, no?
But it was lost in the...
And all the other...
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
Did you find the sex scenes in the film, did you feel they were gratuitous?
Oh, I don't know. I think that it was like a physical marathon. I felt it was almost like soft wrestling, between the two of them.
That's an interesting idea.
Yeah, that's what I thought of when I saw them intertwined like that. So it's hard to say. I think people who are watching that will decide whether it's gratuitous or not based on their background, their particular experiences.
Yeah, I think that had that one that was so long been cut up into a few and interspersed throughout the movie, it would have felt more natural.
Yeah.
But because it was one that was just went on so long, that did feel gratuitous. That one, I feel like that was. It kind of crossed the line after 4 minutes or whatever it was. It was like, okay, this is a little too much now. Did you like or dislike the film?
I liked the issues that the film presented. I loved the issues about coming of age in the different stages that we go through. I like the issue of living your truth. It's very painful not to live your true, who you really are, and I think there's a real price to pay for that. So it addressed that. It addressed the issue of coming of age, just the issue of heterosexuality versus homosexuality. I liked all of the issues that it presented, and I think for that I would recommend the film on the different issues that were presented that needed to be addressed.
I felt like there were many things in the movie that were left out that I wanted to see, and for a movie that was so long, I don't know why that was. So that for me was lacking, and there were a lot of different things like that were like holes in the story that I wanted to know about. And then parts that I didn't want to know, I felt like there was much too much of her teaching her students. There were many things that I wanted explored that weren't explored. So while I found the film artistic and interesting, it was long. I felt like it could have been shorter, and there were things I would like to see which I didn't see. And also I've heard the movie, every time I read a review on it, they say that it spans 10 years in the relationship of this couple, and it didn't feel like this to me at all.
Right.
It felt as though, and the acting was wonderful. I think they were excellent, and they were very convincing, being younger and being a little older. But it seemed like it was a few years, and just from adolescence, or from about 17, 18 with one character, and then maybe 3 or 4 years into the future. So I didn't feel this
the 10-year span.
No, not in any way. I didn't see it in the character development, or the story, or in anything. So I have a mixed view of this film. Well, we've run out of time, but I'd like to thank you today for joining us and your comments and thoughts.
Thank you so much for having me.
And again, I'd like to thank Luca Aragoni for allowing us to shoot here at Sottacasa Pizzeria. Again, today we're discussing Bleu is the Warmest Color, written by Ghalia Lacroix and the film's French-Tunisian director, Abdellatif Kechiche, based on the novel by Julie Maroh. Be sure to check this out more on our website at www.letstalkfilm, which is also available on your mobile devices. I'm today's host, Danielle Winston. Until next time, keep watching and keep talking film.